Clark is getting back on the golf course again this offseason, participating in the Annika golf outing. And she has a couple of caddies that are going to be taking the course alongside her in the form of Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull. Sophie and Lexie kind of called this shot, or especially Sophie did, back before when it was first announced that Caitlin was going to do this event again.
Okay, this is wild. Caitlin Clark just showed up to her golf tournament with 2 caddies, and get this. One of them is Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, that's Sophie Cunningham, the player everyone thought might be ditching the Indiana Fever. Now she's literally carrying Clark's golf clubs. But here's the kicker. The entire WNBA offseason has gone so dead silent. It's like the league fell into a deep hibernation. Seriously, has any sports league ever vanished from your radar so fast you forgot it even existed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this is why.
You could get into the comments section. You see there's Caitlin Clark with Nelly Korda, who, was impressed with Caitlin's poise on the golf course last year, even with the crowds, and said she got into women's basketball because of Caitlin. Sophie Cunningham says, Caitlin Clark need a couple of caddies. Lexie Hull with the smiling face or whatever that is, and some beer cheers. And Lexie Hull says, sign us up. And you thought that was the end of it, right? At least I did. I did not think we'd be revisiting that. Just felt like the cute little remnants of the Instagram comments section. But it has actually happened.
So here's the breakdown. Caitlin Clark is teeing off in a celebrity golf tournament, which, let's be real, is peak off-season athlete activity. You know, when they're not secretly training or doing whatever else superstar athletes do when the cameras aren't rolling. For this particular event, though, she needed some serious caddy power. We're talking guest caddies, the kind that amp up the entertainment factor for both the fans watching and the media buzzing around.
We also have the GOAT, Caitlin Clark, bringing Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham along for the ride as golf caddies at her golf.
And just like that, stepping onto the green, we've got Lexie Hull and Sophie Cunningham, both teammates of Caitlin's from the Indiana Fever. They're out there, spending a whole day on the golf course, hauling clubs, maybe even dropping some wisdom on which iron to pick. On the surface, this is super chill, right? Just a fun, lighthearted off-season hang, proving teammates actually like each other off the court. Totally normal stuff. But hold up, here's where the plot twist kicks in. Sophie Cunningham's future with the Indiana Fever has been a massive question mark. Seriously, there's been so much chatter about whether she's staying, if she's happy, or if the organization even wants to keep her. And what's even crazier, through all that uncertainty, the Fever's social media has been almost completely silent about Sophie. We're talking crickets. That made a lot of people wonder if there was some serious drama brewing behind the scenes.
Now taking her talents to the golf course, where she will join Clark for the Annika Pro-Am tournament next week. Unlike Clark, however, Cunningham will not play in the tournament. She and Fever teammate Lexie Hull have committed to be Clark's guest.
So you can imagine what happened next. Sophie shows up as Caitlin's caddy at this golf tournament. And bam! Everyone's suddenly an FBI profiler, reading into everything. Oh, maybe this means she's definitely staying with the Fever. This has to be proof that relationships are totally fine. The team's absolutely keeping her. Or, maybe Sophie just had a free Tuesday, thought carrying golf clubs for a friend sounded like a good time, and decided to show up. Honestly, who even knows at this point?
Caitlin Clark has opened up the opportunity for both Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull to be a part of this huge non-basketball, I said non-basketball event. So again, when you talk about Caitlin Clark opening things up for other people, it's not just on the basketball court. That is the kind of influence.
The official announcement dropped from Gamebridge, who's totally tied into the Indiana franchises and the Fever organization. They hyped up that Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hull would be caddying for Caitlin Clark, alongside some serious golf pros like Nelly Korda and Lauren Yen. The event's set for November 12th, which gives fans about a week to get pumped about watching basketball players try their hand at golf. But here's the crazy part, and honestly this should be a much bigger deal than it is. Think about it. A year ago, if you'd even whispered that Caitlin Clark was playing in a celeb golf tournament with her teammates as caddies, it would have exploded everywhere. National news trending for days, endless articles, a massive event. But right now, it's just happening. And most people genuinely don't seem to care. And that, my friends, brings us to the real story here. The WNBA offseason has been ridiculously mind-numbingly quiet. This league, which was absolutely everywhere last year, shattering viewership records, selling out arenas, getting non-stop media love, has basically vanished from the public conversation. And that's a huge problem. Cast your mind back just 1 year. Caitlin Clark was still dominating in college. But the hype, the anticipation for her WNBA debut was off the charts. Every game pulled in millions. Every interview was a headline. And people who'd never even watched women's basketball were suddenly hooked. The league was riding this epic wave of momentum that felt like it could change everything. Then the season happened. Caitlin joined the Fever, brought that massive attention, and things were looking good. Viewership, attendance, merch sales, all through the roof. But somewhere, somehow, that momentum just died. And now in the offseason, when teams should be aggressively building on that interest, keeping fans absolutely locked in, everything has gone dead silent. Part of the issue is honestly that nothing is happening. No blockbuster trades, no huge announcements, zero compelling storylines to follow. Sure, any sports offseason can be slow, but the WNBA desperately needed to keep that energy alive. They had new fans, casual fans, people interested but not fully committed. Those fans needed reasons to stick around. Instead, they got radio silence. And then there's the other massive problem: how the league, and honestly parts of the media, handled Caitlin Clark during the season. It was a constant barrage of negativity, criticism, and just plain drama surrounding her. Other players made comments, analysts endlessly questioned her impact. People debated if she even deserved all that attention. For new fans, just trying to watch some hoops, it was utterly exhausting. They signed up for basketball, not to be thrown into some bizarre cultural battle that had zero to do with the actual game. Someone in NBA media even reportedly said it's become problematic in the WNBA to not hate Caitlin Clark, which is absolutely wild. In the NBA, if you're a constant LeBron hater, you're a troll, but you're still part of the conversation. In the WNBA, apparently the public perception is that if you're not constantly tearing Clark down, you're a bad person. That is not a healthy environment for a league trying to grow. And that's probably exactly why so many fans just checked out. They didn't want the drama. They wanted good basketball and to support players they liked. Instead, they got a league that seemed more obsessed with internal conflicts than building on its incredible momentum. So now we're deep in the offseason, and interest has absolutely tanked. Things that would have been gargantuan stories a year ago barely get a shrug now. Caitlin playing golf with her teammates as caddies should be a fun, engaging story that keeps the fanbase alive. Instead, it's just a tiny blip that most people will totally miss. Now the Sophie Cunningham angle is still interesting, because she's genuinely been one of the Fever's most important pieces, bringing shooting, toughness, and that veteran experience a young team desperately needs. But there's been this weird vibe where some fans want her gone for reasons that have absolutely nothing to do with basketball, which is precisely the kind of ridiculous nonsense that's been infecting the league. So Sophie showing up as Caitlin's caddy could be seen as a positive sign. Maybe it means she's happy. Maybe relationships are strong. Maybe the Fever will prioritize keeping her. Or, and let's be honest, maybe it means absolutely nothing, and she's just being a good teammate. Reading too much into these things is exactly how we get more drama. Lexie Hull being there makes perfect sense. She's a teammate, they have a good relationship, and she seems like someone who'd be up for a fun off-season activity. So no drama there, just a player supporting a friend. But this whole situation just screams how much things have shifted in one short year. Last season, anything involving Caitlin Clark was a national event. She couldn't breathe without it being dissected and debated. Now she's playing in a celebrity golf tournament with her teammates, and it's barely registering. Part of that's natural, sure. The novelty wears off, people move on, but the WNBA simply cannot afford this kind of massive drop-off. They needed to convert those casual fans into diehards, to keep that momentum roaring. Instead, they let it completely slip away. That comment about Paige Buecher's fans being like K-pop stans who retweet stuff with Sabrina Carpenter profile pics but don't actually watch games. Yeah, that hits hard. There's so much social media noise around women's basketball that just doesn't translate to actual viewership or attendance. And those metrics, not trending hashtags, are what truly matter. Right now those metrics are plummeting. The idea that if Lexie Hull's caddy announcement happened a year ago, it would be national news. Absolutely true. Everything was news back then. Every player connection, every off-season activity, every social media post got insane attention. Now, it's just another thing happening that most people aren't paying a second of attention to, And that's a real shame for everyone involved. The players worked tirelessly to build that momentum, and Caitlin Clark specifically brought unprecedented attention to the league. But that attention was poorly managed, and completely failed to be sustained. So now we're stuck in this weird dead off-season. And all that excitement from just months ago feels like a distant faded memory. The golf tournament itself should be a blast. Caitlin's actually pretty good, which makes sense since many basketball skills transfer to golf. Having her teammates there as caddies adds a fun social element that makes it even more entertaining. If people actually watch or pay attention, it'll probably be a great time. But the fact that we're even questioning if people will pay attention, that's the real problem. This is Caitlin Clark, the player who smashed viewership records, sold out arenas, and had everyone talking about women's basketball. And now an off-season event with her teammates is something that might go completely unnoticed. That's a staggering drop in interest in an incredibly short amount of time. The WNBA needs to figure out, right now, how to maintain engagement during the off-season. They need compelling storylines, consistent content, actual reasons for fans to stay connected. Other leagues nail this. The NBA offseason is almost as thrilling as the regular season, with free agency, trades, summer league, and constant news cycles. The WNBA offseason, though, it's been mostly silent, and that silence is absolutely killing the momentum they worked so hard to build. Sophie Cunningham's presence at this event shouldn't be analyzed as some massive clue about her future with the team, but it is being analyzed that way, because there's so little else happening. When there's no real news, people start dissecting every single tiny thing. And that's not healthy for the league or its players. And the Fever organization's social media barely posting about Sophie is genuinely strange. If she's such a crucial part of the team, why aren't they hyping her up more? If they want to keep her, shouldn't they be showing her she's valued? That lack of social media presence could mean nothing, or it could be a sign of internal drama. Either way, it's created unnecessary speculation. The broader issue is brutally clear. The WNBA had something truly special happening and completely failed to sustain it. They had mainstream attention, a surge of new fans, and incredible momentum. But poor decisions, completely avoidable drama, and a profound lack of engagement during the off-season have allowed all of that to just slip away. Now we're right back to a league that most people aren't even thinking about. And that's an absolutely massive missed opportunity. Caitlin Clark playing golf with her teammates should be a fun, engaging story that keeps fans hooked during the quiet months. Instead, it's barely making a ripple. And that honestly tells us everything we need to know about where the league's attention has gone. Hopefully things pick up when the season gets closer. But right now, the WNBA offseason feels like everyone just completely forgot it exists. So to recap, Caitlin Clark's got Sophie Cunningham and Lexie Hall as her golf caddies. And the WNBA offseason, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry. A year ago, this would have been colossal news. Today, it's just something happening while everyone's attention is somewhere else entirely. If you appreciated this reality check, seriously, hit that like button and subscribe for more content.